Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Uh, Thank you for to the committee for opportunity for us to present our research in data violence in Indonesia. Uh, our team consists three people, me, Khairul Umam Nur, Siti Hadijah, and Endang Rudiatin, and we are from University of Muhammadiyah, Jakarta. Now we are to present our research. Let me uh, share screen for you. Okay. Okay. Our research is about SDGs, the state and data accuracy of sexual violence in Indonesia. This research is crucial. It's based on one fundamental statement that Indonesia has in state of emergency on violence against women. Catahu, Komnas Perempuan, notes during 2019 recorded 431,000 cases of violence, an increase of 6% from 2018, about 406 thousand cases. The Ministry of the Ministry of Women Empowerment and Child Protection also recorded that in 2019 there were 1,567 cases of violence against women. It is surprising for us that these two state institutions produce very much different data. Even if we are using the Komnas Perempuan data, when compared to the total population of Indonesia, which is more than 267 million, the number of reported violence is only 0.2% of the total population of Indonesia. It's extremely small. So doing this research, we're using ethnographic methods. We are conducting in-depth interview with Komnas Perempuan, the MOWECP, or Kementerian Pemberdayaan Perempuan dan Perlindungan Anak Republik Indonesia, also directly visiting the Integrated Women's Empowerment and Child Protection Services Centers, or Pusat Pemberdayaan Perempuan dan Perlindungan Anak, atau P2TP2A, in 5 cities in Depok, Bekasi, Kabupaten Bekasi, Kabupaten Bogor, and Kota Bogor. In addition to conducting reviews, the research team also conducted direct observation to see how the data collection was carried out, technical and detailed implementation, and how the data was tabulated. So, main questions: why the data matters? Violence against women that occurs in various forms in all environments. It is actually a violation of human rights. So, regardless of age, class, race, or ethnicity, the effect of violence not only women but also throughout the world. It's not only in Indonesia. Global evidence shows that violence against women consistently weakens development efforts of various levels, encouraging depression of physical, human, and social capital. So, if we look the data on violence against women that occur in more than a decade, we can see the trend of violence experienced by women has increased year to years. The Komnas Perempuan yesterday said that there are more than 728% the increased data from the very first Komnas Perempuan recorded data in 1998. However, although statistics on cases of violence are available, they do not indicate the true magnitude of the problems. This is because the lack of credible data in Indonesia, and in the many cases of violence against women throughout Indonesia that are not reported, have become a major obstacle in taking effective action in eliminating violence against women. Okay, why the data matters? In Indonesia, currently, we have two major institutions that play a role coordinator of data collection on violence against women. The MOWECP, or Kementerian Pemberdayaan Perempuan dan Perlindungan Anak, with the Online Information System for Protection of Women or Children, or Symphony, and the National Commission on Violence Against Women, or Komnas Perempuan, with data collection system through its annual end-year notes, or catatan akhir tahun. In practice, these two institutions consistently publish their data every year. In fact, the data, the Komnas Perempuan data and the MOWECP data, it's almost in the same month. But even though this data from these two institutions is published at the same time, but the data is hugely different. The several institutions we have in Indonesia, we have several institutions that play data collection, such as law enforcement agencies like policy, national police in Indonesia, the Ministry of Social Affairs also collecting the data, the Indonesian Child Protection Commission atau KPAI also collecting the data, and other non-government organization such as Kapal Perempuan also collecting the data, or Maju Perempuan collecting the data. This kind of data is confusing, not only for person outside Indonesia, but also researcher in Indonesia. So I'll try to explain the MOWECP Symphony. The MOWECP Symphony, the Ministry of Women Empowerment and Child Protection, established in 1978, previously named Deputy Minister for Women Role, or Menteri Muda Urusan Pemberdayaan Perempuan. But since 20 28 or 27, 28 to 29, under Linda Amelia Sari, the ministry expanded its scope of work not only to economic and social issues for women, but also protection for children. So the MOWECP Symphony is actually a tiered model of data collecting. The violence data collection models conducted through online information system for the protection of women and children, or Symphony. The MOWECP Symphony is carried out in stages, starting from the partner data in each city to integrated women empowerment and child protection services center, or Pusat Pelayanan Terpadu Pemberdayaan Perempuan dan Perlindungan Anak in each city, up to the provincial level and ends to the national data. So if you look the flow, the data is collecting from regional level up to the city level and up to the provincial level and up to national symphony level. So the problem is we have two major problems in this kind of data collection. First, the recording model carried out by P2TP2A is very bureaucratic and time-consuming. With a tiered reporting models, data violence should be easier to do, but not the fact in the field. The higher the level of rewarding, the fewer cases are recorded. So, this is a problem. When the data from the regional level is very high, and then as the higher the data collected, the more data or the more cases disappear. So it's quite confusing. There are many incidents where the cases of violence are very high in one city, but as they go up to the provincial level, the case data number is reduced. This causes the emergence of the pyramid model, where the higher level of government, less violence data recorded. Second, the reason why this data can be used. the data does not have an adequate recording system is due to absence of individuals who have special competence in recording using database and documentation system. This reason arises because the complicated data collection model carried out by P2 TP2A. There are 27 questions that you have to answer, more than 15 pages report that the P2 TP2A level in regional level must fill. It's confusing, not because not every P2 TP2A level not every P2 TP2A in government level in city or regional level has a person who understand the system. So this because the P2A data collection system is sources from the data collected from services providers and other working partners, which in many cases are very incomplete. So the others kind of data is Komnas Perempuan in years note or Catahu. The National Commission Against Women or Komnas Perempuan is one of the national human rights institution founded in 1998, strengthened by presidential regulation number in 20 in 20 in 2005. Komnas Perempuan was born from demands of civil society, especially women, to govern, to realize that government has a responsibility in responding and dealing with issues of violence against women. Okay, different with the MOWECP with tier model, the Komnas Perempuan collecting model in three areas. The data compiled by the Komnas Perempuan come from three sources. First, the district court and religious courts. Second, the Komnas Perempuan Partner Service Institution. And third, the internal of Komnas Perempuan itself, which in case coming from the two units, service and referral units or unit pelayanan dan unit rujukan, formed to receive report from victim who came directly to the Komnas Perempuan and monitoring until the manager report then come in via mail or electronic mail. So these three source of data has become the annual record or any year's notes by the Komnas Perempuan. Unlike the MOWECP model data, which regulated clearly and use the mandatory services from the P2 TP2A to report the data from the lower tier up to provincial and up to national level, the Komnas Perempuan data also has three problems. The first problems, the violence data from the district court and religious court cannot fully be used because it's very general. The data said the divorce act or the data kind of something that the judge have published the data. So the second, it is unlike the MOWECP, as I said before, although Komnas Perempuan data collecting model is advantageous because it cut off the bureaucratic pathways, so it makes potential data loss is lesser, but the Komnas Perempuan has not power to obligate every partner in every area to report or send their report to Komnas Perempuan. It's about voluntary action. It's not obligatory. It's voluntary, full voluntary. If the one NGO or one partner, it's let's say in Aceh or in Kalimantan has the data and then they don't want to share the data with Komnas Perempuan, the Komnas Perempuan cannot do nothing. They can what they can do is just ask the data. Third, the internally, Komnas Perempuan also open report and service post for victim of violence, but the level of reporting is very low. The problems lies with the Komnas Perempuan institution centered in Jakarta. Komnas Perempuan has Komnas Perempuan doesn't have let's say the office branch in provincial level or city or or regional level in Indonesia, just in Jakarta. So the ugly data is creating worse policy. Data collection is very important because it is source of information about existing acts of violence as well as how to handle the case, carry out and what to follow up. Data collection against women can be done in two ways, through surveys and administrative records. The main advantage through surveys is that prevalence rates can be calculated so that pattern or generalization of violence cases can be generated. The survey result can provide detailed information related to the victim of violence or perpetrators such as socio-demographic characteristics. But the biggest problem in this model is the distribution of Indonesian territory that is very vast and very uneven. From the several provincial, we have a lot of resources, but provinces like Papua or Nusa Tenggara Timur have a very little resources, human resources to collect this kind of data. So uh, the demographic also is too wide. So the too wide demographic coverage make the survey model difficult, not to say impossible to do. So with the limitation of this kind, the state through MOWECP and Komnas Perempuan choose to use the administrative data collection model. The administrative data collection on violence against women offers several advantages. First, this administrative record usually collected regularly, which way involve a number of institution organization. Because every report of violent incident is recorded, the data obtained can be more up to date. Second, in terms of funding, this kind of record are certainly cheaper and most effective because we don't have to coverage all the area. All we have to do is just collecting from the several places that have the data. And then from the data collected itself, we can tabulate it and become a national data. The data collection model undertaken by the MOWECP Symphony or Komnas Perempuan is an administrative data collection model because it's based on direct report on each region. So, okay, we have in this presumably time, uh, what we gonna say is both Komnas Perempuan or MOWECP has difficulties in creating the data, final data in violence, but both Komnas and MOWECP has advantages and disadvantages. It is true that Indonesia until now doesn't have the one data about violence. So it's become crucial for the government to sit together between the Komnas Perempuan and the MOWECP, and then we can create a more valid form of kind of how we can collect the data and how the data tabulated through the national platform. So the data can be used by the government or the NGO or the international donor, for examples, to create a more valid, more reliable data about violence in Indonesia. So this is our research. Thank you for kind attention. If you have any question, please do not hesitate to email to me, to us, to umam.noer@umj.aceh.id. Thank you very much.